Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. This video is going to focus on what are the decent champions within the crystals that we get from Dark Artifacts. As you can see here, these are the lovely 5-star versions going down to the 4-star version. So whether you're at a point where you want to shoot for the 5 stars or the 4 stars, this little video is going to help you kind of make that decision about which ones to go for. And obviously do bear in mind that it takes about 7 days to kind of rotate through certain crystals. So the ones that you see here, like War Crystal, Evolution Crystal, and going down to the others at different levels, they're going to change. These crystals are packed full of decent champions, good champions or average champions, and total trash champions. And it's very difficult to kind of give you an idea of what is a trash champion. To some people, they may go, hey, the one that you're going to say that is trash, I actually really rate. But let's look at maybe champions that maybe damage output a lot more and therefore would be seen as more of an interest to you to get. Okay, let's begin with the Chaos Crystal. Of these champions, I list 4 that I think 2 are good and 2 are excellent. The 2 good champions are Phoenix and Punisher 2099. Again, a lot of people will differ from that. They may say that there's a few others or a couple of others that are good. However, though, I think that the 2 excellent champions have got to be Crossbones and Rogue. Rogue in particular is one of the standout ones for me because she life steals and power steals, and as well as like taking buffs from enemies, which is pretty cool because she can then go against someone that has a load of furies. And I have an immense fun with regards to, say, going up against an old man Logan and her taking off buffs when obviously he gets a load of buffs is quite cool because then she's just absolutely tearing into the enemy. Crossbones is amazing with stuff like Fury and another little bits with his kind of attack. He is really high with damage output. So those 2 champions I consider to be excellent. Next up is the Nightmare Crystal, and obviously if we're talking about 3s and 4 stars, then Ultron is a good champion. A lot of people may kind of like change that thought process, but I think he's quite a good fit there. Double immunity is quite helpful at times. Regeneration when it gets down to a certain percentage. The armor, yeah, there's lots of things going for that champion. It's pretty cool. Then World War II Captain America, an excellent champion, really strong with regards to block proficiency, bleeds off the L2s, an absolute solid choice. Guillotine is good from that one, as well as Archangel is excellent. We've then got Spider-Man Symbiote, which is a good champion. There's a mixture there of good champions and excellent champions. Archangel in particular is a champion I really want to get at 5-star. I got him at 4-star, had to grind out an arena for about 11 mil for him back in the day, so I'm pretty happy with him, as well as I've put him up to rank 5 and lots of signatures, though he is just so good. Moving on to the Genesis Crystal. Now obviously this is all about the 3s and 4 stars, so for lower rated players are kind of going, hey, I want to increase my roster, what is good at a 3 and a 4 star to kind of increase, and getting Star-Lord in here, which is an excellent choice, especially if you've got a Tech Awakening gem, can be really handy to propel him and kind of do some difficult content. Nightcrawler is a good champion. Kingpin is a good champion. 2 that I would say that are good for Alliance Wars defense, especially when it comes to again like lower Alliance Wars rated. You're kind of looking to kind of develop a bit more. You're looking for champions that could sit in there whilst you concentrate on other aspects of the game. Those are 2 good for that one. We've then got Angela, a good champion. Mordo, we've got a good champion as well, and again like helpful for Alliance Wars defense, especially when it comes to lower rated alliances. Dormammu, I mean, I'm a bit biased with this. For me, he's an excellent champion, having things like power burn, power locking, the soul bond detonation with regards to doing a heavy attack. You do a heavy attack, you then build up the soul bonds on the enemy, or you can allow them to do a special, which you evade away, and then do a little heavy attack. My currently at 5-star does about 11k, and obviously this is all about the 3s and the 4 stars, so yeah, still a good champion and can be quite helpful. And then standard Spider-Man, a good champion, and again goes back to this thing, you know, we could develop our defense like for Alliance Wars at a lower rated level. Next up is the Evolution Crystal. Now, I've said that Loki, in my mind, is a good champion, and I think we only kind of say good champion based on his usage when it comes to Act 5.4 going up against the Ultron. That is largely the only reason that I would say that. Apart from that, I wouldn't have kind of rated him in that list. However, though, there is Dr. Voodoo, which is an excellent champion. Loads of things with power burning. We've got the Spirit Venom. There's so many things going on. That's great. And as well, the regeneration at the start is fantastic. So if you have him and you're looking to kind of get a signature on and get that awakened, then this is a good opportunity for that. X23 as well, an excellent champion. I'm having fun with my 4-star one. I'm actually developing that a bit further, so that can be handy for stuff like arena grinding, as well as kind of like just general content, really. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, what can you really say? An excellent champion. Damage output is so darn high. Yeah, a lot of people will just tell you about Stark Spidey. He's absolutely amazing. And finally, Hawkeye, a good champion, a solid champion. Not the best, but you know, I rate him. I think he's pretty decent. The L1 constantly with like the power like draining is just so cool. The hemorrhage, when you get that off, then that can be really good for bleed damage. And yeah, like I said, highly rate him for those two things. He has got me out of a lot of scrapes when it comes to arena grinding. Next up is the War Crystal. The War Crystal gives us Ghost Rider, which I consider to be an excellent champion. We've then got Standard Miss Marvel, which is a good champion. Some people, again, may not agree with that, but I think she's pretty solid. Her and Captain Marvel, they're decent. I've got my Miss Marvel at 550, then I've got my Captain Marvel at 5-star, which I rate. I think she's brilliant. The absorption's helpful. Building power is pretty cool with regards to damage output. So, like I said, I rate her for that. Psylocke, a good champion. Aspects of power locking and power burning and stuff like that makes it she's quite effective, as well as Agent Venom, a good champion, not an amazing champion, but a good champion nonetheless. Age of Ultron Vision, we've got him in there, and you know, I think he's a good champion. We've got power stealing, which is pretty cool. As well as just general stuff like heal block can be really handy against enemies that have healing capabilities. Luke Cage, excellent champion, and I think as he's been buffed fairly recently, he has definitely been put up to like an excellent base classification, or even like higher than that. I do think that he is able to damage output a lot more and is a lot more effective for people's rosters. And then finally, Red Hulk from that one, I think that is a good champion. He was one of the ones with Luke Cage that was buffed, and I think he's a solid choice for different things. So if you were not to get one of the excellent champions, which is the main thing I'm trying to kind of say with these selections, if you're not getting an excellent champion, then settle for the good champions. And yes, I haven't included ones that are average or poor. It just gives people a perspective of, you know, what's good out of these crystals, that if you don't get a good one or an excellent one, what good ones are you left with that you can just say, hey, I can do something with this. And finally, onto the Death Crystal. There's not really a huge amount of, you know, excellent champions, except for I've listed down King Groot as being a good champion. I, again, feel I'm maybe a bit biased in kind of promoting King Groot. Aspects of taking debuff effects off of him, as well as detrimental effects on him. His damage output is pretty down poor, which is kind of like I classify him as a good champion. Yes, you do get Furies. He's better with suicides if you're looking at him as a lead champion, which I may revert to doing at some point. But he's got regeneration, which is quite substantial. Even unawakened, you can do stuff with the L3 to get your health back. And yeah, poisons off of the L2 can be quite handy in some aspects, especially if you've got a Fury buff on. It means you're going to double up on the amount of poisons put onto the enemy. So that's kind of cool as well. Yeah, I think I'm happy with kind of classifying him as a good champion. Magic is an excellent champion, you know, absolutely brilliant. Where do you start with regards to that champion? You've got Limbo, you've got Power Lock, you've got Power Burning. There's so many things going on with the power control aspect for the champion, so she is pretty darn effective and just so handy, get you out so many scrapes, especially going up against champions like Hyperion, which can be a bit of a pain. Rocket Raccoon, I've kind of listed down as being a good champion. I am a little bit annoyed with regards to my pulling luck with recent crystal opening. You'll see that at some point with regards to Rocket Raccoon. I probably will rank mine up next time a tech advancement event comes along, but I'm a little bit kind of salty with that. And finally, Wolverine, an excellent champion, even better when he's awakened, but at the same time, I think that he is just so handy for people in so many different aspects. People are using him to kind of get regeneration, bleeds. There's just, yeah, again, just like, he's a one-stop shop for bleeding and regeneration, like X23. So, but I like Wolverine a lot more just because I'm a big fan of Wolverine. And that really concludes all of the 3s and the 4 stars with regards to what I think are good and excellent champions out of these crystals. let's move on to the 5-star ones. Okay, the 5-star crystals differ a little bit because they're 27k with dark artifacts, and if you're not familiar with how to get dark artifacts, it's done through dungeons, and based on your prestige, so maybe the list of champions that you got the highest, that can really affect like what dungeons you're able to achieve to get the full milestones. So your dark artifact grind may be more suited to the 3 and 4 stars. But I digress, I have diverted a bit there, so just focus on the 5 stars. So, out of the Chaos Crystal, which is a solid choice by the way, there's a lot of decent things in there, and there's X23, which is a good champion, Guillotine is a good champion, Drax, a good champion, and Nightcrawler and Starlord from there are pretty solid. Starlord in particular is a brilliant champion. So if you're looking for an awakening or the first time getting the champion, then again you may want to choose this as an option. It was very difficult to pinpoint this as being the one that I would go for. I have a 5-star Cosmic Awakening gem, and it may be the reason that motivates you to get a certain type of 5-star crystal, because you have an Awakening gem and the thought process is, hey, there's not too many bad champions in the Chaos Crystal, that may be the choice. Next up is the Nightmare Crystal. Not too many fantastic champions in this. We've got Phoenix, we've got Ultron, Angela and Magic. Those are the ones I could really find that were extensively positive for someone's roster based on an offensive aspect or based on maybe a defensive aspect. And to be honest, there's not really a huge amount of defensive champions that could be used for people's improvements when it comes to war defense. Especially when it comes to 5-star, you want to be focusing on getting better offensive champions. Magic is good for that. Angela is good for that. Ultron, a little bit to that. Some people do opt for using that in Alliance Wars defense, but I don't see it more as a popular thing nowadays. And Phoenix, yeah, again, I'm just bringing it in there because it was very difficult to find a good champion to add into what I'd select as being a good champion to get if you were thinking about getting this crystal. So yeah, again, you may be motivated by an awakening gem of any of these. In particular, Magic, if you've got a mystic one, you may be motivated for it. Next up is the Genesis Crystal. This one only has 2 for me that I would consider to be good. The rest are kind of a bit blasé or mediocre. And Gwenpool and Ghost Rider are those. Gwenpool in particular because she has bleeds, incinerates, power locking. Plot armor is good, but the champion doesn't need to be awakened to be good. Yeah, plot armor does mean she'll be alive in the game even when it looks like she's going to die from a special, but you don't need that. It's all about the bleeds, the incinerates, and the power lock, as I said, that make her really darn effective. The next thing is Ghost Rider, Furies and Regeneration. Good offensive line. At the same time, he can be great for the Holy Trinity, so that Blade, Stark, Spidey type vibe, which is going to mean he's really darn good for your roster. Next up is the Evolution Crystal. Now, I do rate Nebula and I do rate Red Hulk, but I don't find them as the main reason to get this crystal. One of the main reasons will be Dr. Voodoo. Second to that, and probably on par, if not a little bit higher, is a Stark Spidey, as well as Quake. 3 solid champions there. That would be a great addition. And yeah, like the booby prize would be having Red Hulk or having Nebula. Like I said, decent champions. I like them. I like the shock aspect to Nebula. There's so many things about both champions that I like. But I think Dr. Voodoo, Spider-Man, Stark Enhanced, and Quake do push me with regards to a thought process to get them. And yeah, I mean, where can I start? I've talked about how Dr. Voodoo is a great champion, Spider-Man is a good champion, Quake with aftershocks and concussions and things like that mean that she is fantastic and decent for rosters. So yeah, and all 3 of them are good for offensive stuff and like attacking, so and map grinding and questing. So many things can be used with regards to them. Next up is the War Crystal. I actually really rate the War Crystal. Having Rogue in there, like myself, like I want the dupe. I've got, you know, want Luke Cage. Luke Cage is a fantastic champion. Hyperion. Yeah, like I've got a Cosmic Awakening gem. Would love that champion. And then Old Man Logan, I probably just want that for the dupe. But again, questionable. Like I think that's only a personal preference for me that I actually quite like Old Man Logan. And again, a lot of people will go, "You like Old Man Logan? Are you crazy?" Yeah, I quite like him. I rate him. I think he's good. But again, that's my own preference. That's my own thought process. But you can't go wrong with Rogue, Luke Cage, and Hyperion from there. decent champions, great for attacking, doing questing, doing offensive in war. You know, there's so many kind of things going on. Hyperion as well, like, it is fantastic for power gaining, one of the best. Incinerates as well, so with the vanquishing blows going on at the moment, you know, getting up to an L1, an L2, an L3, as well as doing incinerates, you know, are great if you have him as a, you know, a cosmic in vanquishing blows, because I know that it isn't great having the you know, you'd like to use him for 2 types of events, or maybe even 3 or 4, based on the specials as well as the incinerate. But you know, that's how Kabam have kind of like done it. It's good and bad at the same time. And finally, is the Death Crystal. And there's not really much going on here except for Crossbones, for Archangel, and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man was a real push for me to kind of put that in as a champion I consider to be good. But people's agendas may be that they have it once, would like to get him again, or can I consider it maybe like a booby prize if they don't get Archangel and to a lesser degree Crossbones. And for me, like, Crossbones is a pretty solid champion. I've got him once. I like to dupe, as well as Archangel. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that champion. He's absolutely fantastic. Neurotoxins, bleeds, poisons, ability accuracy reduction. The list goes on with regards to the champion. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best. So yeah, that has been a list of all the crystals that I think have got good champions in, and the ones that I consider to be minor booby prizes. If you don't get what you want, then there are some good ones within there. It kind of points towards the War Crystal, and to a lesser degree the Chaos Crystal, as solid choices for the 5-star. With the 4 stars, I think the choices have to be made whether or not you want to strengthen your defense side of things, or you're attacking, or you want to increase your roster in general. They can be quite helpful. But either way, what are your thoughts on these particular crystals? Which one do you like? Is there one particular that stands out for you, and for whatever reason? Let us all know in the comment section. Could help out other players as well. So that's been the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. Make sure to catch me in a live stream happening fairly shortly. And as always, I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye bye for now.